It is Kaila Rouze, and that is I. She is she. Her is her. And today, yes, as you can probably see by the title, we are doing a spiritual talk. Like, these are probably my favorite, and I do want to start doing these more on my channel, guys, because y'all, truly, I am very spiritual. Like, I am very spiritual and religious, so I want to share my spirituality with everyone. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get into it. So before I really start, I purchased this journal. It says express yourself, and this is probably one of the best purchases I've made in 2022. So I've been having this since, I do not remember specifically when I bought it, but I think September, actually. It was like September I had bought this book, and I do journal. I put all my thoughts, ideas, I do poetry. Sometimes I have like vivid dreams, so I just write it all in here, my innermost feelings. Songs, guys, I like to sing, honestly, so I would just like write songs or put like lyrics that speak to me that I would love to like sing inside of here. So overall, like everything, like me, I just truly express myself in this journal. And honestly, I try to encourage a lot of people. Like, I know I'm not a therapist, but I am not a therapist, but I do try to encourage everyone to get a journal, really start journaling your feelings, whatever. Like, if you want to journal a vlog, put it all in there. If you want to talk to someone but you don't probably feel safe enough, you don't know if they're gonna judge you, you don't know like who you should talk to about, like, you know, those innermost feelings, I advise you get a journal. Just put it all in there. Nobody have to know but you, your thoughts, your journal. Like, that's it. And like, you know, to me, this is sacred. Like, I don't let nobody grab my journal. I'm like, no, this is not anyone's business unless you want to share it with someone. You know, that's absolutely your choice. Some things I choose to share and some things I don't. So we're gonna get right into this video anyway. Like, I just wanted to put that out there about the journal. Today I want to share my philosophy. I'm gonna make this part 1, so I'm gonna do a part 2 in another video. So in this video, I'm talking about forms. Let's get on a spiritual talk. The difference between, I want to do transactional versus transformational. So this is part 1, and part 2 is going to be like transformational versus transcendental, because like, y'all, these are deep topics, and this is like every day, and I'm so intrigued. Like, when I started writing this, y'all, I was intrigued. So let's get right into it. So I want to start out by talking about like transactional and like transactional love. So before ascending into like a higher consciousness, there is steps, there is processes we have to go through. Sometimes we don't realize we're going through these processes, but we are. Truly, we are. And so first, let's talk about a biological purpose. So you guys, a biological purpose is like the first step. That is like the first step we go through in order to reach, like, you know, that higher consciousness. Like, we have to go through the steps. So biological purpose is you being alive. Like, biology, bio, what is that? It's life. That's you being alive. Is knowing that you are born for a greater cause. It's like your survival instincts to keep you going on a daily. How do you survive? How do you manage? How do you just get through the day? That is like the first step, but that's a step that stays with us through like all the steps, really. Like, you know, you got the first step, you keep those basics with you to move on to the next step. Like, that is so important for this step. Like, each step is very important, but that first step is always like, either it can be the hardest, it can be the easiest. Like, it just really depends on you, because, you know, it is different for everyone. And it's like learning more about your identity, knowing that you're being aware, like, okay, I have an identity. I am here with an identity. As like, you know, simple as that sound, like, of course, we all got identity, we all got a name, but how do you identify? How do you identify yourself? You know, what is your purpose being on here? What is the cause? Which is a part of your identity? And like I said, as simple as that sound, like, some people really do not know their identity. Yeah, they can quote their name, they can say this is my birthday, but who am I? You know, that's a big question. What makes me me? You know, what shaped me into who I am? What is going to shape me into who I'm becoming? So that is really deep. And with each process, you will learn more about your true identity. Like, we all have an identity, but your true identity. And the biological purpose let us know that we do have an identity for like a reproduction of life. Like, you know, all of us is built on life for like reproduction. You know, women, they reproduce children. Like, we carry the children in our womb and produce them. Men, like, you know, they produce their gifts, their talents, their strengths, like all of that. You know, we produce. We are on life to really produce. And the production of our role. And in this process, you will start recognizing like foundations that gotta be set in order to, you know, have a fulfilling, promising life. You know, them foundations are important. If you don't have a foundation, then what do you have, really? Just like a home. Like, if you're building a home, it have to have the foundation of the ground first, right? In order to start, like, you know, building it up. Especially if it's a house with stories on it, it needs a strong foundation. Like, so with this process, you have to be content knowing you have a place and a role in life. Like, you know, sometimes that's hard, sometimes that's huge, that's probably sometimes a lot for someone to process, because they might feel like the world is on their back, but truly, simply, it's not. Just recognize and be content, you know, not settled. Content is more like, you know, just being satisfied, just being okay that you're there. Like, you don't have to settle, but just be content, you know. If you're not content, you're just like, a wise person once told me, if you're not content, you're just not going to be happy. And honestly, like, I did not really understand that at first. When I first heard it, I'm like, how can you not be happy if you're not content? What does that mean? And as life started going, as I started going through processes, literally, my discontentment really caused unhappiness in my life. Like, I was so dissatisfied where I was. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just tired of this. I should be here, I should be doing this, I should do that. Like, that's stress and anxiety, honestly. And sometimes that can put people in depression. Like, that's not fun at all, guys. Anyway, just be content. You know, you want to be happy, you want to move on, be content. So now that we talked about like biological purpose, how do that tie into transactional love, transactional purpose, like, you know, that transactional state? So a transactional purpose, transactional love, transactional state, whatever you want to call it, you know, it all ties in together. It is like a give and receive state, you know. Like, if I put this in, I expect that. Like, you know, if you put in all those hours in at work, you expect a big check. Like, come on now, somebody be for real, you know. Like, I'm putting in all these hours, I'm putting in all this effort, even on like a group project. Like, if you're in school, you're putting in all the effort, all the work, all of this in like a school project. Even like with business partners, you expect credit, you expect what you've been put in. Like, I didn't put all that in, I expect something greater for myself. And so that is more what that give and receive state is, like that transactional, like a transaction. You turn that into biological purpose, it becomes a survival instinct to see how much to give based off of like what you're gonna receive. Like, you know, that's like in a relationship. If y'all, especially in the first part of a relationship, you just like, okay, I put in this, like, you know, am I gonna get that back? Like, I expect to get that back. You know, that's always kind of the hardest part, especially starting a relationship and y'all starting, like, you know, to really feel each other, started to really, like, you know, recognize we got to set these foundations if we're going to have like a promising life later on. So, and if it's not equal, you may not keep going daily. Like, tying that into the biological purpose, it's your survival instincts. Like, if you're not getting fulfilled, if things are not equal, things are not balancing out, like, you gotta survive. You know, it's hard. Like, you may not keep going lately. Like, this is literally thriving like a business. Recognizing foundations gotta be set in order to continue. Just like in a relationship, you got to recognize these foundations needs to be set in order to, you know, continue. Just like in a business, these foundations have to be set in order to keep going. And like, you start to learn more about like your identity. Just like if you're in a partnership, you get to learn more about your identity and your role within each other. In a business, you start learning like roles that needs to be put in place, things that need to be set forth. Like, this is the part where you just start recognizing, where you start thinking like, okay, something gotta be done in order to move on. And so like, I'm saying this, all of this can fall into the category of like to start a relationship, like I said, business partners, all of that. Sometimes like, if you like believe in God the way I do, sometimes we can even do this transactional love, this transactional state with God. Like, I'll praise you if you do this for me, God. Okay, you do this for me, God, I'm going to give you all the praise. Like, which, you know, it just comes out. It's normal. Like, we do that and stuff. God knows where you are in your life stage. He knows which stage you're in. He knows how to come to you in each stage. Like, He knows. And this can be a quick stage, this can be a long stage. It really depends on you. How much are you learning? How much are you growing? How much do you recognize? Like, how much can you handle? Them are huge questions to ask yourself. Like, what are you ready for? And so the Bible verse that I chose for this one, like, this Bible verse kind of really just spoke out for like the biological purpose and a transactional. So it's James 1:12. And I'm reading from the ESV version. It says, "Blessed are the men who remain steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him." And the reason why I chose this Bible verse is because I'm going to break it down of why I chose this. So, blessed are the men who remain steadfast under trial. So remaining steadfast is basically remaining planted. You'll keep going. Like, no matter what you feel like you're faced with, you are remaining there. Like, you're steadfast under trial. So I chose that because I said, like, biological purpose is like, you know, survival instincts. Your way to survive. Like, you're just trying to survive, and like, that just screams out biological purpose. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. Like, what? Like, you are there. You are recognizing foundation need to be set. You are being alive. You are recognizing things like, literally, this is the recognition state. So you start the test, you're going to receive that crown. Like, okay, God, I got it. I'm going to receive. And now you're ready to shift. Like, God promised those who love him. Like, you know, you're seeking that power. You're seeking him and stuff. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're recognizing your identity. You recognize foundations. He sees that and he rewards that and he honors his promises. So that's why I chose that one. And again, that was James 1:12. I read from the ESV version. So shifting into the next stage, the transformational stage, the transformational purpose. And y'all, in this stage, I'm going to compare, like, I'm going to be speaking things that's going to compare the biological purpose and the transactional purpose, and how it ties into the next stage, and how it's different in this second stage. So this is the stage where things become more clear. Whether you can physically see where you're going or not, your intentions and how you're going to get there it's clear and it's set forward. Like, okay, I am focusing on what's in front of me. I am changing, things are shifting, literally. And you know, like your focus shifts on trying to reach the light. And you now is starting to have a sense of identity. Maybe you're not fully there, but you have a sense of identity. And you can you really recognize yourself, where you're headed, where you're going. More foundations are set in place. Like, you know, this is where revelation began to take place, y'all. Revelation is like the truth. Things like, it's time to see the truth. It's time to see where I'm going. It's time to see who I am. This is where that began to take place. Like, you really start to get that revelation. And a new perspective is put forward. And since this is the middle stage, like, things are changed. Like, transformation is the changing of forms. Like, we're talking about forms. So this second stage, this is definitely that spot where, like, you are changing, whether it be appearance, attitude, you know, where you live, where you're going, where you're headed, how you talk, like, whatever. Like, the smallest things can be considered transformation. Literally, y'all. Like, you farther than where you started from. Like, at first, you know, you like, okay, I'm having a sense of identity. I don't know where I'm headed. Like, I'm just trying to survive. And in this stage, like, okay, I'm knowing who I am. I'm not all the way there yet, but I am farther than when I started. You can clearly see that you are farther than where you started from. And you can see, like, okay, I'm having a sense of identity. I'm recognizing who I am, recognizing, you know, more of my place, where I'm supposed to be. And this stage, it can be quite long. It can be quite long, but really the time will vary between you and, you know, where you're headed and where you're going. Like I said, like, this is really just about that change. This is really about that shift. This is really about, like, okay, things gotta change, things gotta be clear. I'm focusing on my growth. I'm focusing on what I need. I'm focusing on where I'm headed. You know, this is really about that stage. And, you know, that can be long because, like, each day you go, new information will be added. New things are added to you. And how you go, what you do, what you say, you know, you really start to see, like, okay, I am not the same person. I can no longer do the same things that I've done, because you are clearly in a new state. You are in a new stage. When God knows you transform, he'll send you to that next stage. Like, he will be like, okay, you are putting in the work. You are really having your efforts match where you're trying to go, y'all. Because if you know, it's like sometimes you be headed somewhere, but where? If you don't have no plan, you don't got no intentions, you don't have nothing, like, where are you going, you know? That's why it's so important to have a plan, have an intention, and be focused where you're headed. And God sees that. So how does that tie into, like, your transformational stage, love, purpose, whatever it is? The transformational, like, love, purpose stage is really about, like, the investment of putting others before your own. Like, example, you know, like, I'll do that. Don't even worry about it. It's okay. Like, you know, something good will come back to you later. You know, you want to reap what you sow. Basically, this is where you start recognizing that I want to reap what I sow. So if I'm doing this for somebody, hey, that goodness is going to come right back around to me. You know, you're not worrying about, like, anything in return, because you know your time will come. You know that I don't have to do this in order to receive that. It's going to come back to you. Like they say, y'all, lately I've been hearing a lot, you reap what you sow. So sometimes, like me, I'm an empath. I'm a giver. Like, I care a lot, and I be giving. I will put other people before my own. And I keep doing this. I'm just like, man. And so lately, a lot of people been hitting me with that. You reap what you sow. You will reap what you sow. And I'm like, wow. You know, all that goodness you put out there, it's going to come back to you. Probably even, like, greater, you know, times that, like 2 times that, probably 10 times that, if it really came from, like, the kindness of your heart. And, you know, like, the kindness from within, it will come back to you. But if you out here doing crazy bad things to people, you know, you want to be mindful about those things. You know, like they say, treat others how you want to be treated. If you want that to happen to you, you know, do what you will. I cannot tell you how to live. I cannot tell you what to do. But my advice is just, do good works. Have humility. That is so important. Be humble. The world needs more of that. So anyways, as I was saying, this stage, it requires a new mindset. Simple. You have to have a new mindset in order to shift into this level. And like, all that was invested is now put into action. It's now starting to be unconditional, whether that be love, whether that be like your time, whether that be like anything. It is unconditional now. My God. There is trust now. There is loyalty now. Like, you're loyal to the cause, committed to the cause. You are trusting the process, trusting the cause, trusting the higher power, trusting that all will be well, trusting that what you're putting in is going to come to fruition. Like, that's huge. That is huge. This is why this requires a new mindset. And now it's the time for it's a protected space for like new expression, new things. Like a comfort zone is beautiful. It is nice. Y'all, I used to love being in my comfort zone, but nothing grows there. It's just comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're not gonna move. So, my advice is to really get out, really explore, so you can find new depths of yourself, new depths of your soul, to really, be in a transformational state, which is why I say this is a protected space for new expressions and new things to unfold. And it really happens naturally. Like, next thing you know, like just yesterday you was in your comfort zone. Today you're doing something that the old you would have never thought you would be able to do, never thought you would do. Like, y'all, honestly, this is out of my comfort zone, but I am loving it. And y'all, stepping out of your comfort zone brings so much confidence. So if you're not like a confident person, like, no, I don't have the confidence to do that, really recognize your identity. Recognize that you need a new mindset. Recognize you have to change. Recognize new things got to come forward. That confidence is going to unfold naturally. Like I said, guys, it's going to come naturally. Like, you can't stay there. You can't just keep limiting yourself into a little box. That is so important, y'all. Like what you tell yourself, what you're watering into yourself. That's like basically planting seeds in your ear. They're like, I'm not this, I'm not that. You're limiting yourself. My advice, stop doing that. Speak life into you. And really put in that action. You can speak all you want, but put in that action. That's so important, y'all. So this stage, this is where more wisdom come about, and you have a sense of where your identity is placed. Like, of course, as you keep going, like I said, guys, each day you will start learning more, and each day you will really see a sense of your identity closer and closer to your truer self. And now, like, in all your identity, you see where like your identity is placed in each relationship, each thing you put yourself into. You really start to have a place. Sometimes, like, I grew up personally, like, I'm gonna make this a little personal. I grew up really feeling out of place all the time. Like, I felt like I did not belong anywhere I went. And that is so hard because I did not really recognize my sense of identity of who I was within. Like, it starts within, You don't have to fit in. I had to learn. You don't have to fit in everywhere to be somewhere. But if it's not for you, do not force yourself to be there. Like, you might catch that later. If it's not for you, don't force yourself to be there. But you do not have to fit in everywhere you go. Be different, because sometimes someone needs your difference. Someone needs to see your difference. Someone needs to feel, okay, it's safe for me to be different. That is so important. So now, like, in each relationship, each place you go, you have an identity of who you are. Like, whether I fit in or not, I'm here and I'm bringing what I have to the table. Like, come on now. So in this stage, you start to approach God differently, and a higher power differently. He knows you're in a new stage, and you can safely rely on His word and keep seeking Him without rewards, because pleasing Him, automatically He's going to bless you anyway, because He's a kind God just like that. So I chose 2 Bible verses for this one because, y'all, this is a deep stage. It required more than just one. This stage is huge. This stage is really huge. This stage is so important, y'all. Each stage is very important, y'all. As y'all can see, I keep saying, like, you know, the first stage important, this stage important. It is so important. Each stage is really important because, y'all, this is where the change happened. This is where the beauty happened. This is where, like, you know, you're getting pressed to become something beautiful. Like they say, diamonds, they form into these beautiful, shiny things from all the pressing that goes on. Like, you know, that is beautiful. So the first one I chose is Romans 12:2, y'all. This is probably my favorite Bible verse ever. Romans 12:2, and I'm reading from the ESV version. So it says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, what is acceptable, and perfect." Y'all. Y'all. Let me read it one more time, because this Bible verse, it just, whew, my God. "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Like, come on. This literally screams out the transformational stage, purpose, love, whatever. So I'm going to break it down, and then we're going to move into the second verse. So, do not be conformed to this world. So basically what that means, like, you know, the earth, we have norms. We have like the social norm. If you do this, you're just out of it. Like, no. So basically it's saying, do not just be placed and, you know, limit to like what's going on around you. Like, you know, what the world says is good, what the world says you have to do, what society is telling you you have to do, you have to look like in order to be a normal person. So basically for me, do not be conformed to this world. That's what it means to me. You know, don't be so limited by what society tells you you have to do, you have to look like, you have to be in order to be considered normal. Oh, and then it says, "But be transformed by the renewal of your mind." So, like I said, guys, in there, this stage requires a new mindset. And it say, be transformed by the renewal of your mind, y'all. The mind is quite powerful, and a lot of people, you know, don't really think that. Like, what are you constantly thinking? Your thoughts matter. Your thoughts definitely matter. So you need a renewed mind in order to, like, flourish in this stage, in order to really change. You cannot have the same mindset you had from the first stage, y'all. This is the second stage. 2 is not the same number as 1. Like, of course, like, you know, 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? So 2, that's an entire different number. That's literally a number higher than that. You're in a higher stage now. So of course, that requires a new mindset. So I love how it says, "But be transformed by the renewal of your mind." That just screams out transformational stage. And that by testing you may discern what is the will of God. You know, like we talked about in the first stage, like you were getting tested. You know, you were in this survival instinct. And then in the second stage, how I was talking about, this is where revelation begins to take place. The truth. You are really starting to see the truth, and you can really see, you know, and feel and know, what does God want me to do? Where does God want me? Clearly not at the same first stage. Clearly we are in a second stage. So that just like screams out transformational purpose and stage. Like, come on. So now you know what is good. You know what is accepted. You know what is perfect, you know? Like, you are changing. Like, you're not perfect yet, but you are working to be perfected. So that is why I chose that one. So the second verse is 2 Corinthians 3:18. I love this scripture as well. Corinthians gonna speak. Like, it reads, "And we all with the unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Whew, that is beautiful. That is very beautiful. And it said, and we all, not just you, not just him, not just she over there, all, with an unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Like, that is so deep, y'all. That is so deep. Like, come on. I'm gonna break it down why I chose this one. With an unveiled face, beholding the glory, y'all. Really just taking off that mask. Really just taking off what doesn't belong anymore. Beholding the glory of the Lord, y'all. That is huge. If you have the glory of the Lord on you, God, you have like a lot. Come on, like unveiled face. We are unmasking, holding the glory. Like, really are being transformed into the same image. Like he says, guys, you know, we was made in the image of him, God. What are you reflecting? You know, that's basically what it's trying to say. What are you reflecting? What are you holding off? You know, that's why it's so important. This is where revelation began to take place. You see the truth. You see your identity. And a new mindset has come forward, as Romans told us. We need a new mindset to be transformed into the same image. And y'all, like the Bible always tells us, we go from one degree of glory to another degree. Y'all, that means basically you are coming from one level onto a next level because you're ready. You are really putting that work for the transformation. You are changing forms. Transformation is a change of forms. You are really changing forms. And y'all, this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Y'all, we all have that spirit. You know, that good whisper in like the inside that you hear telling you to do good works, telling you you're gonna do better, telling you that it's okay. That is literally the spirit that lies within us. Like they say, it was in another part in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 3:18. He did say, like, do you not know that, like, you know, the Spirit is within you? And do you not know, like, your body is a temple? So it's like, you know, what are you mirroring? What are you showing out? Which is so important, y'all, in that transformational stage, to really change, to really, you know, become who you're supposed to become. Become that good person. Become that person of humility. Become the person that remains humble. And y'all, God will really bless that to the fullest. Like, because some people, they get, like, you know, money. They get put out of these situations and they forget about God. They forget about who helped them. They just think they are that. Like, that's not okay. It's not. So this one tells us that, you know, what are you showing? What are you mirroring out? That's why the transformational stage is so important, because this is a change in forms. So, like, that spirit moves within us, whether we know it or not. You know, tap into that soul conscious to hear what that good whisper is telling you to do, what that good whisper is telling you who you are, telling you how to move, telling you the good things to speak. Y'all, this is so important. So that's what it is. And so, as I said, y'all, earlier, I mentioned that this is the investment of putting others before your own. And like, this is a new stage. So investment is basically the process of putting something in for future results, not for you to, like, consume right now, not for you to use right now. So I advise you guys, my advice is to start now. So basically, to start now, start investing in yourself now, start investing in those things now, because in a couple months, y'all, where they be in a couple months, next year, whatever, is going to be so proud. You're going to be so happy. Like, okay, I'm so glad, I'm so relieved that I got to start this now, instead of later. Then later you're gonna be wishing that you started it when you first thought about it. So it's like, what's stopping you all? from going to be who you are trying to be. So my advice is to just go for it. Start investing now. Start pouring back into yourself, especially if like you're an empath. And y'all, it's okay to say no. Boundaries are so important. Do not bend your boundaries, especially if you're in a stage where you are trying to grow, you are trying to learn, you're trying to invest in yourself, you're trying to find who you are. It is absolutely okay to say no. It is absolutely okay to not be so available. Like, I have things to do, I have things to get done, I need to focus. So you need to hold off. And if they're mad, they're mad, because one, this is going to pay off so much. The payoff is going to be worth the no's, worth the unavailableness, y'all. So my advice is really just focus on what you're trying to achieve and go for it. Really go for it. So I hope you all did see the difference between transactional and transformational, the biological and transformational. This is basically my philosophy. Like, it's all written here, guys. I got a few pages that I did with it, and I hope you all got that. Y'all stay tuned for part 3, because I'm gonna talk more about transformational and the transcendental, but I'm gonna really go in depth on transcendental, because that is a huge stage and I'm working on getting there. So stay tuned, y'all, stay tuned. So I thank you all so much for tuning in this video, and I do hope you guys did like get anything out of this video. I hope I helped anyone today, and thank you for listening to my philosophy. And if you guys like this, you know, you can comment, you can message me, whatever, telling me more or telling me something that I need to explain. If you have any questions, I am all open to new things, new philosophies, questions, whatever, guys. So thank you all so much, and I love you all.